Yesterday, Bitcoin was chopping sideways and it nearly tagged $48,000 based on a tweet by the SEC that stated that they approved the Bitcoin ETFs for listings on all registered national security exchanges. That's very wordy right there. And that ended up liquidating probably, let's see, it liquidated roughly 50 million short positions. And then after that, the next 15-minute candle, we saw a crazy drop because Gary Gensler posted out a tweet saying that their Twitter account was compromised. Everyone is expecting a Bitcoin ETF to be approved today, and there's lots of indecision in the market. So I'm going to take a look at the market psychology in the frame of Elliot waves and Wyckoff schematics. Bitcoin is looking very positive. It looks like it's dropped to previous resistance and flipped it to support at the $45,000 level. So let's take a look at Elliott waves. I have this mapped out, which is in a classic impulsive move. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, and the fifth wave is usually the final leg of this journey. The reason why I love Elliott waves is because it frames the price movement within human psychology. We all love things in threes. Kind of think of this as a three-act structure in a novel. Everyone's heard of the three-act structure, where there's 3 moves up. Basically, like, you know, there's the introduction, like everyone's kind of like not sure what's going on, and then there's a whole big journey in the middle where lots of conflict happens, and finally there's the epic conclusion of the storyline. So that's where we're at. It's just kind of a really clean way to think of price movement. I don't know if clean was the right word. It's a very neat way of looking at price movement. So, and it's also bound by the Fibonacci ratios. So here we are, the Fibonacci extension levels. I'm measuring it from wave 2 to 3 to 4, and we're in the middle of an extension right now. Oh, this is pretty crazy. How the $45,000 psychological big even has confluence with a zero. You can't see this right. Let me tell you. Has confluence with a 0.236 Fibonacci ratio, and right now we're having trouble at precisely the 0.382. And I'm thinking there's a potential that it can get to the 0.5 at the big even $50,000 psychological level. The on-balance volume has not breaking above its bullish breakout resistance line, which was formed at the $45,000 resistance line. Even though price is breaking above it, the on-balance volume hasn't. So the current effort used to produce this result is not consistent. Also, as price has been making higher ceilings, the on-balance volume has been making lower ceilings. So this is also a bearish divergence. Taking a look at one more indicator, the popular relative strength index, we can see as the ceilings have been moving higher in price, the ceilings on the RSI have been moving lower, so this is a strong bearish divergence.
When Bitcoin got rejected from the $48,000 level, it liquidated many soldiers from our brave Bulls army.
Chill out, bro. We just need to understand where we're at in the 4 phases of the market.
I guess if we knew what phase of the market we're in, we can plan an appropriate counterattack.
Price action does look bullish. It looks like it's going into a parabolic move right here, but the indicators are showing bearish divergences. Let's take a look at Wikipedia to see the wave 5 description. So wave 5 of a Elliott wave, impulsive move. Wave 5 leg is the final leg in the direction of the dominant trend. The news is almost universally positive and everyone is bullish. That's where we're at right now. Now, going a little further, volume is often lower in wave 5 than in wave 3, and many momentum indicators start to show divergences, like the RSI. I know everyone's bullish. I want to see Bitcoin go to $1 million in the next few hours, but let's entertain the idea for a moment that this may be a phase in the market where whales are selling off into strength. And there's a chart pattern called the Wyckoff distribution schematic that I'm going to look into. On the left, we have the Wyckoff schematic by stockcharts.com, and we can see there's a buying climax, an upthrust after distribution. So it looks similar to what we have now with Bitcoin on my markup right here, where we have a buying climax, an upthrust, which didn't quite make it above its trading range, but we did have an upthrust after distribution. Bitcoin recently popped above the upthrust after distribution and failed to drop lower, so this initially invalidated the Wyckoff distribution pattern. But taking a look at volume, we can see that bearish volume has been greater than bullish volume. So maybe this Wyckoff distribution schematic is not yet invalidated. Let's dive deeper into phase C, the testing process of remaining demand. In phase C, an upthrust or an upthrust after distribution allows large interest to mislead the public about the future trend direction and subsequently sell additional shares at elevated prices to such breakout traders and investors before the markdown begins. So is it possible that this may be a second upthrust after distribution? Well, the smart money repeatedly stops out traders who initiate such short positions with one upthrust after another, so it is often safer to wait until phase D and a last point of supply. In other words, price needs to drop below the trading range to initiate a short position. And it would be safer to wait for a bounce at maybe previous support flipping to resistance for a last point of supply. Eventually, price may break the bottom of the trading range to confirm a sign of weakness. And then we go into phase E where supply is in control. During this whole phase D and E, you really want to see increasing bearish volume. As we step back and look at this whole volume profile, if you observe the first buying climax and look at the following candles, there was never any bullish volume that surpassed the buying climax. But bearish volume has certainly spiked above bullish volume's resistance line set by the buying climax. At any moment, a Bitcoin ETF could be approved. So are we in an impulsive wave 5 where Bitcoin can finally hit $50,000? Or are we in a Wyckoff distribution schematic where the whales are playing games on us, such as Gary Gensler and his volatile tweets? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe to this channel.